Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Life and Living. I'm your host, Shubhra, and I'm so glad you've joined me today to discover how to live our lives with a bit more ease and a lot more joy. We've tackled some pretty deep topics in our previous episodes. Today, we're going to dive into something that's deeply personal to me, and it affects all of us: lies and deception. Why do we lie? How does it start? And most importantly, how can we recognize and deal with it? Let's explore these questions together. Let's start from the beginning. Why do we lie? It's something we all do, sometimes without even thinking. Lying often begins in childhood as a defense mechanism. But as we grow, those innocent lies can evolve into something more complicated. Remember how simple it was as a kid? A fib here and there to get out of trouble. As we grow older, our reasons become more complex and our lies become more sophisticated. We might lie to protect ourselves, to avoid hurting someone's feelings, or to fit into societal expectations. Mark Twain once said, "If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything." It's funny how a simple lie can turn into a huge web that's hard to keep track of. Lying can be exhausting because it requires us to keep track of multiple versions of reality. Think about the story of Pinocchio, whose nose grew longer every time he lied. It's a simple tale, but it teaches us about the consequences of lying. Even though our noses don't grow with every lie, the weight of lies can be just as noticeable and burdensome. Now, let's get a bit more personal. Have you ever caught yourself lying to yourself? Maybe you convinced yourself that you're happy in a job or a relationship, when deep down you know you're not. Self-deception is surprisingly common. It's a way to protect our self-esteem and avoid facing uncomfortable truths. Self-deception can be like putting on blinders to avoid the messy truth. For instance, telling yourself you can handle everything alone, even when you're feeling overwhelmed. It's like trying to run a marathon with a blindfold on. You might be able to get somewhere, but it won't be in the right direction. George Bernard Shaw once said, "The liar's punishment is not in the least that he is not believed, but that he cannot believe anyone else." When we lie to ourselves and others, we start to question our own reality and the reality presented by others. Let's talk about lying to those we care about. Maybe you tell a friend you're okay when you're really not, just to avoid burdening them. Or you tell your partner you're happy with a decision when you're not. These lies can create a false sense of harmony, but can also erode trust and intimacy over time. There's an old proverb that goes, "A half-truth is a whole lie." Even those little white lies can add up and create a big barrier in our relationships. Over time, these small lies can build up like bricks in a wall, creating distance and mistrust. Being honest with those we care about is crucial for genuine connections. It's like clearing the air after a storm. When we are honest, we allow our relationships to be built on trust and integrity. Constant dishonesty can lead to a lack of trust and breakdown in communication. Now let's look at how lying evolves into deception on a larger scale. People lie on social media, at work, and in various social settings to create a desired image or to gain an advantage. Some take it further, using deception to manipulate and exploit others. This dark side of lying is often driven by a need for control, power, or financial gain. In today's world, social media is a perfect example of how deception can be used to create a false image. Ever notice how everyone's life seems perfect on Instagram? It's all about showing the best parts and hiding the flaws. This kind of deception can create unrealistic expectations and lead to feelings of inadequacy. Sometimes deception is driven by either fear or greed. People might lie to avoid losing what they have or to gain more than they need. Remember the story of Bernie Madoff? He built an entire empire on lies and deception, exploiting countless people in the process. His case is a prime example of how far some will go to maintain their deceit. It shows how deception can be used to manipulate and exploit others for personal gain. It's important to recognize the signs of toxic behavior in habitual liars and deceivers. These individuals often use charm, manipulation, and gaslighting to achieve their goals. By being aware of these tactics, you can protect yourself from exploitation. Have you heard of the term gaslighting? It comes from a British play called Gaslight, where a husband manipulates his wife into doubting her sanity. It's a powerful example of how deceit can be used to control others. Gaslighters use charm to gain your trust, then they use manipulation to control you, and indulge in gaslighting to make you doubt your own reality. I'm sure you must have come across at least one gaslighting person in your lifetime. Trust me, I have. And it is often very difficult to recover from a good gaslighting. Let's dive a bit deeper into the psychology behind habitual liars and deceivers. These individuals often exhibit traits associated with certain psychological disorders. They might lack empathy, they may have a strong need for admiration, and often use others for personal gain without remorse. Think about the story of Frank Abagnale, the real-life con artist portrayed in the movie Catch Me If You Can. He deceived countless people by assuming various identities and exploiting their trust. His story illustrates how habitual liars can use charm and deceit to achieve their goals. The impact of these behaviors on victims can be profound. It's like being caught in a web of lies, where the more you struggle, the more entangled you become. Understanding the psychology behind habitual lying can help us recognize these traits and protect ourselves from being exploited. Dealing with deception, especially from loved ones, can be incredibly painful. It's not just about the lie itself, but the betrayal of trust that can be hard to overcome. So, how do we recover from such experiences? First, it's important to acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to feel hurt, angry, and betrayed. Give yourself permission to feel these emotions and understand that they are a natural response to being deceived. Next, communication is key. If possible, have an open and honest conversation with the person who deceived you. Express how their actions affected you without resorting to blame or anger. This can help in understanding their motives and deciding whether the relationship can be repaired. Building trust again takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. Be patient with yourself and the other person. Look for consistent, honest behavior, and and be clear about your boundaries and expectations moving forward. Lies and deception are complex aspects of human behavior that can have far-reaching consequences. By understanding why we lie and recognizing the signs of toxic deception, we can work towards more honest and fulfilling lives. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Life and Living with Shubhra. If you found this discussion helpful, please share it with someone who might benefit from it. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and most importantly, stay true to yourself and strive for authenticity in all aspects of your life. Remember, you're not alone. We are in this journey together, and we will figure it out one step at a time. Until next time, here's to life, here's to living, here's to us.